To make sure your fetch deployment is a success, there are final backdeck configurations that should be carried out using the Subsea Array Manager software with iWand. Let's get into it. First things first, power up your fetch by removing the battery disconnect plug from its holder and store this somewhere safe, ready to be reinserted after recovery. Once your fetch is powered up, we need to open the Subsea Array Manager or SAM software on our PC or laptop, which will have been supplied with your fetch unit. Make sure that you're running the most up-to-date version of the software before you start. In order to configure your fetch units, we need to connect the iWand to the PC or laptop. The easiest way to do this is via USB. At this stage, it is good practice to check your PC clock is accurate and that the correct time zone has been configured, as this is important for setup later and then for all of your data records. Note that all Sonardyne software is designed to work with the UTC or GMT time zone. Now shift your attention to the Subsea Array Manager software, SAM. This software works with a job-based structure. Each job could contain many different instruments, all linked to the same project or job. So once you've launched SAM, you want to first create a new job file. Select File and then Job Wizard. Next, select your instrument type. The fetch I'm working with today is an LMF fetch AZA, so I will select Fetch with AZA LMF. Next, complete the job details box, so add an informative title and description. The job folder is best left as is. Now move on to the settings box. Set the number of fetch instruments to be used, in this case I'm just using one, and then set the address of your fetch by clicking Select Address, which will trigger a pop-up window to appear with a big table of all the possible addresses for the fetch system. I'll click the address of my fetch here and click OK at the bottom right. Click Next to head to the environmental setup page. First, make a reasonable guess at the water depth you'll be operating in, which affects the amount of acoustic power transmitted and the sensitivity of the receiver. Click Next again, and we are presented with an opportunity to set up our logging schedules. I'm not ready for that yet, so I'm going to just click Finish at this point and we're done with creating a job file. The next thing to do is establish the communications link between the fetch and SAM software via the iWand. Select Comms from the main menu at the top of the window, and then Comms. Choose the appropriate COM port from the list. In this case, it is COM USB. Choose this and then click OK. To establish the connection between SAM and your fetch via the iWand, select the Device tab, and then click the Test button. Make sure you have your fetch's acoustic address to hand, as this is an important element of commanding your fetch with SAM via your iWand. With your fetch and iWand powered up, and with iWand's antenna touching the fetch transducer, let's now get SAM to communicate with fetch. Click on your fetch's address, and then click on the Check tab. Now click the Check Time and Logging button. We will then see the status of the instrument. This one says that logging is not active, which is what we expect. But more importantly, it reports the DAS time. The fetch does not have an independent real-time clock, so we must set it every time the unit is powered up. Click OK to continue without an NSH, and the fetch clock will then be set to UTC derived from your PC time and regional settings. At this point, it's a good idea to go back to the Check tab, click Check Sensors. This will report the values from the basic fitted sensors. We can also see that the battery capacity is good. Now let's set the fetch's logging schedule. On the Device tab, click Advanced. If there are any existing logging events, highlight them and then click Remove. Now we'll add a logging event by clicking Add, which will launch the Log Event Configurator. In the Log Event Configurator, we need to configure sensors by ticking the measurements you want to make. Since I'm using a fetch AZA instrument, I will tick Temperature, Digiquartz, RS485, Keller or Presens, and Inclinometer. Set the start time on the next hour and set the repeat period to 0 days, 1 hour, 0 minutes, and click OK. Next in the Log Event Configurator, we need to set up the battery. Click Add and tick Battery. Set the start time as 10 minutes past the hour, as we don't want this schedule to clash with the sensor schedule, and set repeat period to 5 days, 0 hours, 0 minutes. Click OK. If you have PIES functionality, that's the next thing to set up in the login configuration. Add another logging event, and this time, tick PIES. Set the start time with the minutes offset from the hourly sensor reading, as the PIES record would add another pressure reading. Here we'll choose 25 minutes past the hour. Click OK. You will then need to configure your PIES. From the Device tab, click Advanced, then configure pies. Enter the best estimate for the mean SV through the water column and select which pressure sensor to use as a depth reference sensor, usually the digiquartz. Click OK. Last but not least, you will need to configure logging for AZA. Click Add and tick AZA. Set the start time to be 30 minutes after the hour to avoid conflicts with our pressure observations. When selecting your start time, ensure it's set sufficiently in the future to allow time to deploy and to send the command to start the logging for both sensors and the AZA cycle. This is so that the first AZA cycle is not instigated when experiencing large changes in water pressure. Next, set the repeat period to 2 days, tick progressive logging and set increase each log to 2%. Set the max log period to 28 days and click OK. Make sure you do a final review of the logging setup you've just created. To do this, double-check the logging events table shown. This will be used as a template for all fetch units in the job file. If you're happy, click Finish to exit the new job file wizard. Now that your job file is created, you can move on to the final stages of setup and checks with SAM. First to address is AZA. In the main window, go to the AZA tab and click on Get AZA Status. Check all 3 pressure sensors report a fresh reading, age of less than 30 seconds. Since this is a deck test, all sensors should be reading atmospheric pressure, so less than 1.5 bar or 150 kPa. If seabed mode is not confirmed, click on Seabed. The AZA must confirm it is in seabed mode before deployment. Once in seabed mode, avoid direct sunlight on your fetch and keep it cool. The sensor's logging schedule now needs to be activated. This can be done by clicking on Set Transponder on the Device tab. This will set all the fetch parameters to those in the SAM job file. When it's done, it will finish saying Logging. To check your logging setup, go to the Check tab and click Check Time and Logging. There should be 2 logging events set, or 3 if you have the pies option. AZA logging will not be added until it's on the seabed. Due times will be the start time set when you configured the logging. One final thing to check is activity time, or AT. This parameter defines how long the acoustic modem stays active after any wake-up source, for example ACOMS or a scheduled autonomous DAS log event. AT is reported in the CS config status message and should be set to AT0 by SAM automatically, so that the modem shuts down immediately after every logged event. Check this is set to AT0, because if not, the battery life will be seriously reduced. Use manual command CS:AAAA:W1, Also, check the Bluetooth power is switched off with manual command OPT:AAA:W1 and EXPT_off is shown. Once the final checks are done and the instrument is logging, Subsea Array Manager can now be closed down and the iWand disconnected, ready for the fetch instrument to go in the water. It is good practice to run through a pre-deployment checklist. For instance, check the release is closed, the battery disconnect is out of the holder, the vacuum gauge is reading well, the logging regime is set, the DAS clock is set, and lifting gear is in good order. It's really important to note that once your fetch has been deployed and is on the seabed, there are a few final stages of setup that must be conducted using SAM via the acoustic communications link with your fetch. But for deck preparation, we're all done. If you have any questions or would like to know more about fetch, please check out our website or get in touch via sonardyne.com or your local Sonardyne office. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up to date with everything new from Sonardyne. Thanks for watching.